ก็จะเสนอนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะHow many of us are having a profession? How many of us have learned a certain job, a certain occupation? Anyone? Many, right? How long did it take you to learn and master your field? A day? A week? A year? Maybe even more, huh? How long? Forced to master. How long have you been forced to master? Most occupations you cannot learn within just a week, a month, right? It takes longer than that. Most fields of expertise take actually quite long, some of them definitely. If you want to become, let's say, an electrician, how long would it take him here in Malaysia? From when you start, often they're 16 years old, I guess, or something at that age, and they want to become an electrician, how long would it take them before they are considered they can go out and do their own jobs on their own? 3 years maybe? Something in that range. If you want to become a surgeon, how long will that take? 5 years or longer? 5-year studies, medical school, and then slowly, gradually, they will not straight away give you the patients. Maybe at first you have to practice on a corpse. So if you screw up, nothing is going to happen. But then eventually, you are allowed also to operate living human beings. So, of course, 5 years, sometimes for certain things, 6 years, 7 years, something in that range. So we can see that many of the things that are valuable or difficult require quite a bit of training and practice. In the spiritual path, also the same. The Buddha actually often speaks of what he calls his teaching, his Dhamma Vinaya. He says there's a gradual training, a gradual practice that one undertakes, where one gradually undergoes certain aspects of the Dhamma, of the Buddha's teachings, until one finally reaches awakening. Have you heard about the gradual training from the Buddha sometimes? And there are quite a few different lists of gradual training when the Buddha speaks about that. Actually, in our chanting book, SPS chanting book, we also have a recitation. It's about the gradual training. So I thought today, I don't know whether we have enough time to cover the whole gradual training. It's actually quite detailed. But in case you're free also tomorrow, let's see how far we get today. Either we can finish it off, if not, we continue tomorrow. But I think it's quite interesting of how the Buddha sees the training, not just for monks, but any spiritual practitioner undergoing these important steps and aspects of the Dhamma training, the Buddha's teaching. I will read out a passage and then we discuss it a little bit. The Buddha says, a householder or householder's son or one born in some other clan hears the Dhamma. On hearing the Dhamma, he acquires faith in the Tathagata, in the Buddha. So first we hear the Dhamma, a sense of trust, interest, curiosity arises. And possessing that faith, that trust, he considers, household life is crowded and dusty. Life gone forth is wide open. It is not easy. He doesn't say it's impossible, but say it's not easy while living at home to lead the holy life, the spiritual life, utterly perfect and pure. So yes, it can be done, but it's not easy to do that at home with family, children, many occupations, many things to do, and to dedicate oneself fully to the spiritual life. It's not easy to lead a holy life, utterly perfect and pure, as a polished shell. Suppose I will shave off my hair and beard, put on the ochre robe, or more brown in this case, and go forth from home into homelessness. So the person considers, okay, I've heard the Dhamma, I want to practice, and then often in ancient times they would decide, okay, let me try to ordain either as a monk or as a nun. So having done that, then on a later occasion, abandoning a small or large amount of wealth, abandoning a small or large circle of relatives, he shaves off his hair and beard, puts on the ochre robe, and goes forth from home to homelessness. So here we hear already they are homeless. So even though the Buddha did allow for monasteries to be built, for kutis, for huts to be built, but even those that belong to the Sangha, to the monastery, it's not our personal ownership. So every kuti where a monk lives, it's just temporary. You stay there for a couple of months maybe, and then somebody else might move in. Or sometimes, it depends which kuti they're given. So sometimes you go to a monastery, then one of the monks appoints a kuti to you. But then it could be that maybe half a year later, actually your kuti quite nice. Some of them are a bit larger, some are a bit smaller. Sometimes you might be lucky, get a nice kuti. But then half a year later, a very senior monk comes for a visit. And now you're staying in this very nice kuti. So they will invite you. Maybe you move on to another kuti, to one of the smaller ones, and then they will give the larger one, better one, to maybe an elderly monk or a senior monk. So we're homeless. We don't have a right to any specific thing. So that's the meaning of going from home to homelessness. Also, you live in a monastery for a while, and then often after a couple of months or years, the monks will move somewhere else. So we are not at home anywhere, or you could say you're at home everywhere, however you want to look at this. So then the question continues, is it possible, Master Gautama, to describe a gradual training, step by step, a gradual practice, and a gradual progress in this Dhamma and Vinaya? The Buddha says, it is possible to prescribe or describe a gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress in this Dhamma and Vinaya. Then the Buddha says, when the Tathagata, referring to himself, when the Tathagata obtains a person to be tamed, a person who wants to train, cultivate himself, to tame himself, almost sounds like an animal, right? We're taming animals. But sometimes our mind is also a bit like that, like a wild animal, like a wild horse, or like a monkey jumping around from here to there. So the Buddha says when somebody comes and wants to be trained, he first disciplines him thus. Come, bhikkhu, be virtuous. So invites him, be virtuous, practice virtue. 12, restrained by the Patimokkha. What is the Patimokkha? The rules for the monks and nuns. Perfect in conduct and resort, in seeing danger even in the slightest fault. Trained by undertaking the training rules. So here also interesting, the Buddha says, when you undertake the training rules, take them seriously. Commit yourself. Don't do it half-heartedly. So even this phrase here, anumatesu vajjesu, seeing danger even in the smallest, most minute fault or mistakes. Don't take that easily. Of course one can make mistakes, but okay, try to improve. So sometimes there might be otherwise an attitude, this is just a small rule, yeah, we keep the more serious ones, but then the small ones are not so important. No, the Buddha says seeing danger even in small mistakes. So this can also apply to our own lives, right? For example, taking the 5 precepts. Which ones of the 5 would you say are the most serious? Killing, to refrain from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and intoxicants. Which of the 5 would you say is the most serious? The first one?
You must choose one out of 5.
Yeah. They are all quite important, right? Or then I'd ask you the opposite. Which one is the least severe, would you say? Which one is the least severe out of these 5? Drinking. Musavada. Yeah. Killing. I mean, killing a human being, that is quite severe, obviously. Killing an ant, compared to Musavada, which is more serious. Hard to say, right? So it depends also what kind of Musavada. But if it's Musavada, you cheat or you lie for your own selfish benefit, that can also be quite serious. So, of course, the Buddha didn't say this is more, this is less, but often we have an intuition, this is more severe, this is not such a big thing. But the Buddha recommends having an attitude, seeing danger even in the small things. Maybe some people might say, okay, I'm not supposed to drink alcohol, but then a little bit is not a problem, right? I'm not getting completely drunk, just getting a little bit tipsy. And that's also not appropriate. When we see danger in the slightest fault, even that, we try to refrain. Alcohol is an interesting example because, sure, we can still act more or less normally, but then our clarity of mind, even with a little bit, is already not so sharp anymore. And also the discernment between what is right, what is wrong, under the influence of substances, also our decisions are also not so right anymore. Sometimes we look back afterwards, oh my, who was I to think like that? So, even though by consumption of alcohol itself, sometimes we don't harm others, just by alone drinking but then often as a consequence of that, we might harm others. It's very easy after having drunk a little bit to speak a lie. It's very easy to cheat in a relationship. It's very easy to, it's just an insect killing. All the other precepts can easily be broken under the influence of alcohol. So the Buddha says, seeing danger even in the slightest faults. So that's the first step in the gradual training. Sila, like a foundation. Having thus gone forth and possessing the bhikkhu's training and way of life, abandoning the destruction of life, he abstains from destroying life. With rod and weapon laid aside, conscientious, merciful, he abides compassionate to all living beings. And what I like here, you see, it's not just not killing. The Buddha explains also the positive counterpart, developing compassion. So not just not killing, but also having this wish, this intention for other beings to be safe, to be happy, merciful. Yeah. The same for the second precept, abandoning the taking of what is not given, not to steal. He abstains from taking what is not given, taking only what is given, expecting only what is given. By not stealing, he abides in purity. The third one, abandoning the household life. He observes the holy life. So this is particularly for monks and nuns. So abandoning the household life, to practice the holy life, living apart, separated. Abstaining from the vulgar practice of sexual intercourse. So of course this does not apply to lay devotees, but then also interesting, quite strong words here, no? The Buddha calls it vulgar practice of sexual intercourse. So of course for monastics, it's expected that they don't indulge in that. Abandoning false speech. He abstains from false speech. He speaks truth, adheres to truth, is trustworthy and reliable. So I like that link here, you see. By speaking the truth, by upholding truth, people can trust, people can feel safe. Whatever he says, I know it's true. I don't have to double check it, fact check it. We know, whatever he says, we can trust and rely on that. He will not deliberately deceive us. So, how nice. Just imagine in your own friendships, in family life, or the workplace, if you would have that same feeling of certainty, of safety. Oh no, dude, you would never say anything that is not true. Do you have that certainty? Depends with whom we are meeting, isn't it? Not for everyone the same way. So, wisdom, right? So he does also another aspect of right speech is one who is no deceiver of the world. Next one is abandoning malicious speech. He abstains from malicious speech. He does not speak or repeat elsewhere what he has heard here, in order to divide those people from these. Nor does he repeat here what he has heard elsewhere, in order to divide these people from those. So if you hear a story about something has happened or what a person has done, rather than telling other people, you know what has happened over there, retelling bad stories particularly, and with the intention to divide people. I don't want these two to be good friends. Maybe I want to be a good friend with him or with her. So I will sow some seeds for a quarrel by retelling something that I know the other one will probably not enjoy. So deliberately trying to divide people and sow some friction. So that would of course not be suitable. Instead, he's one who reunites those who are divided. The promoter of friendships, who enjoys unity, rejoices in unity, delights in unity. A speaker of words that promote unity. So it's not just not dividing, but also when we hear, these two had some conflict with each other. How can I help? Maybe there's a way to unite them. Maybe pointing out the good qualities. Yes, okay, she's been saying this or that. But then she's also very helpful. Whenever we need her, she comes. So yes, maybe sometimes she also has other qualities, but then also we help them to become friends again. So this was the counterpart to not dividing, but also to actively promoting friendship, trying to help people understand each other. How nice. Then lastly, in the right speech section, abandoning harsh speech. He abstains from harsh speech. He speaks words that are gentle, pleasing to the ear, and lovable, that go to the heart, that are courteous, desired by many, and agreeable to many. So, words that are kind, gentle. Everybody likes that, right? We always like to be around people who treat us kindly, friendly, gently, rather than being rude and harsh. So you never know what's happening next. So this is all part of the training. Let me train myself in kind speech, pleasant words that go to the heart, as the sutta says. Not words that pierce the heart, like a spear, not like that. And then lastly, abandoning idle chatter. He abstains from idle chatter. He speaks at the right time, speaks what is fact, speaks on what is good, speaks on the Dhamma and Vinaya at the right time, speaks words that are worth recording, reasonable, moderate and beneficial. So again, we see here the Buddha does not only say abstain from wrong speech, he also says, what are the kind of things we should speak? He doesn't say this or that topic. He says, speak on what is good. Speak at the right time. Speak things that are reasonable, beneficial. So this is the criteria. And in different contexts, of course, this can mean different things, depending with whom we are, where we are. But I think most of us will have a sense, this is reasonable, this is not. This is moderate, this is not. So quite nice in this summary, where we hear not only what not to do, but also the active part, the cultivation part. So the Dhamma practice is not only about abstaining from doing this, don't do that, but there is also a cultivation part, a positive side. Do this, develop that, foster this. Any questions or comments so far on the first few steps? About right speech this time around? Among the 4 types of wrong speech, quickly, which one of them would you say is the most difficult to refrain from? Lying, harsh speech, divisive speech, or idle chatter? Which one is the most difficult?
Thank you so much for the sharing thus far. When it comes to, I guess, harsh speech, like, speaking speech that are agreeable and things like that, sometimes when we try to be nice in our speech, people might tend to take advantage or, exploit us or take us for granted. So I think it's more about finding a balance. Like, what's Bhante's advice for us to find a balance between being nice and being firm and honoring our own boundaries, so that it's also a form of compassion for ourselves as well, not to let people step all over us. Yeah, so there's always a tricky kind of balance to strike.
Yes, it's very true. It's not enough always to be just nice and kind and then let other people take advantage of us, especially if you don't agree to that. Sometimes you might see, people are taking advantage, but it's okay. I'm willing to share, and I'm okay. People get some benefit from what I do, then it's also no problem. But if I don't like people to do it, then of course. And I think there's no contradiction necessarily in being kind, yet to be firm at the same time. You can kindly, politely say, actually I see that you see this differently, or I have a different perspective, or no, I don't agree with that, or I don't want to wish to go along with this proposal, or whatever it is. So you can be quite firm, say, but still there's still not anger coming out. So you can make your statement, your position, even a disagreement, yet it comes still from a sense of kindness, goodwill, and that doesn't mean we have to agree with whatever other people want us to do or want us not to do, or what they do. So it's completely okay to set boundaries. It's actually quite important. Yeah. So which one of them is the most difficult to do?
Okay, just now following earlier what you said, when other times it's wise to remain silent. I mean, like, you know that everyone is so having wrong view, and no point in correcting. So, is it the best time to remain silent?
So when is the best time to remain silent? Then you gave the example, if everyone has wrong view, wrong understanding. So yes, if your intuition is, or maybe your experience from previous conversations with the same people, that they're very hard to change their minds or to listen to what you have to share, then no point. So then it's better to be silent, because even the Buddha says, if it's not beneficial, if it doesn't serve any good benefit, there's no point of trying to get into arguments with people if you already know in advance. There's almost no chance that it will help. But sometimes there can be a way, maybe the conversation might be difficult, but there is maybe a 50-50 chance that you might be able to convey something of value in that conversation. It may be worth the trouble, the temporary discomfort. Okay, we don't want to have a dense conversation, but it may sometimes be worthwhile if there is at least some probability that it could go well and the people might take you seriously. But if you know already in advance, nothing good will come out from that, that's the time to remain silent. And not everyone can be convinced. And sometimes also, we might also be mistaken. If whatever I say, nobody in the whole room agrees with me, maybe I'm mistaken. It's a possibility, right? Then I try tomorrow with another group of people, and again, nobody agrees with what I have to say. Maybe I also should rethink my own positions. Maybe there's some misunderstanding not on their part, but on my part. But so it depends. So the Buddha doesn't say always what you think. All he says is, speak only what is true, what you believe to be true, but then still know the right time. When is the time to speak? When is the time to be silent? Is it beneficial? You see, one of the qualifiers we had here. Is it reasonable, moderate? Is it beneficial? If others are not going to listen, it's not going to be beneficial. If it leads only to quarrel and dispute, that's also not beneficial. So if you reflect on that in advance, say, no, it's not going to be beneficial, then you can just keep it to yourself for the time being. I try for a third time. Which of the four things, which of the four wrong speeches do you think is the most difficult to keep?
Ideal talking, I think.
The idle chatter, I agree. The idle chatter speaking about not dividing people, not speaking harsh, but more or less unimportant things, you know. I don't know, who won the football match last weekend, or did Prince Charles get married or not? I think is he married? I don't follow really. It's not even Prince anymore, right? It's now King Charles, is it? Oh, you also don't know. Okay. So yeah, so this kind of popular news, or also getting really into politics. Unless you're a politician, then that's your job, of course. But just for the sake of debates and stories about film stars, movie stars, singers. Oh, they got divorced, you know, now he's together with her. Yeah, these kind of things. That's mostly idle chatter. It's not harmful in itself, but it's a waste of time, a waste of oxygen. Okay, let's continue a little bit. Then next, the Buddha says also, he abstains, again referring to monks, monastics. He abstains from harming seeds and plants. That is a bit special. So monks are actually not even allowed to cut trees. We are not allowed to dig in earth. We are not allowed, even if there's a seed of a plant, like a mango, and the seed, we are not allowed to destroy that. But then some plants have very small seeds, like strawberry. The monks cannot even eat a strawberry straight away, unless the seeds have been removed, because the seeds could still grow. Or the seeds have been damaged, for example, if it's cooked, then the seed cannot sprout anymore, cannot produce a new fruit. Then it's okay. Or maybe a devotee, a layperson, makes a gesture of destroying the seed. Maybe you've seen every day after lunch, after the monks collect the food, there is often a kapia, a helper, standing and ready to help the monks with the fruits that may contain seeds. Then the monk says, Kapyam karohi, make this allowable, please. Please make those fruits allowable, especially the fruits that have seeds. And then the devotee could take a knife or a fork and poke the knife into the fruit that contains the seeds. It's a gesture of destroying the seed, so that afterwards it can be consumed by the monk. It's a bit of a ritual that comes from ancient India. And back in the days, people used to also think that spirits may take residence together, like a tree deva, a deva that lives at a tree. But not only for big trees, even for smaller plants, there could still be some tree-bound deva living and using the plant as his house, so to speak. So the same for fruits. So if the spirit is living there together with the mango, and then you eat the fruit, you might get frightened. So by putting a nail or a fork or knife into the fruit, it will be encouraged to move out and leave. So by making this gesture, it's like chasing him away, so then later when you eat it, you're not eating the fruit together with, with the spirit. So that is partially, someone's explained as being the background behind this procedure where we put a nail or a fork into it and then the monks can eat it afterwards. Otherwise, if there's nobody around who can do that for us, then the monks cannot eat the fruit just like that. Unless we remove the seed first. If you, for grapes, for example, or you could also spit it out at least. So you could remove the seed and then the monk can eat it if he removes it. But if not, then would have to leave it aside. So he abstains from harming seeds and plants. He practices eating 1 meal a day. 1 meal only. But then I see some of the monks, they're eating breakfast and lunch. How is it? Are they practicing 1 meal a day or not? What this refers here is, maybe you could say, actually it belongs together with the next one. He practices eating 1 meal a day, abstaining from eating at night and outside the proper time. So there's a time period, only one period of the day where the monks are allowed to eat. From dawnrise or sunrise in the morning until noontime, until midday. Whereas in the afternoon and night time, you're not allowed to eat, right? So, but some take up a voluntary practice, really of eating only once. So once they sit down and start to eat, okay, they can eat for however long they want, 20 minutes, half an hour, 3 hours, theoretically. But still just 1 meal, right? A big feast. Normally we don't do that, but theoretically it would still count as 1 meal. But once he's finished that 1 meal, he would not accept anything afterwards. So it is a voluntary practice that some of the monks undertake, but all monks, all monastics, have to limit their eating time to the period after sunrise to noontime. Any idea why the Buddha laid down this rule? Why did the Buddha ask the monks to eat only during that time?
I just guess only. Maybe it's for health reasons.
For health reasons. In fact, that was one of the considerations. Not the only, but indeed he did mention that this is healthy. Even nowadays, so many years later, thousands of years later, now often I hear people speak of intermittent fasting. Oh, we monks are doing this since thousands of years already. It's supposed to be very healthy and the new health craze, intermittent fasting. Yeah, that's what we do. So yeah, health is one benefit. Also think back of how the monks used to collect their food. They don't have a fridge or they cannot store food. So they have to go out to the village. So if you want to have dinner, then it means you have to go out in the evening, or sometimes getting dark already. And sometimes the monks were walking because they're living in a forest, then they have to go to the village. So on the way to the village, they would stumble over tree stumps and all kind of things would happen. And get injured, have an accident. Another incident, a monk went very early in the morning on alms out. And so they would go to the village, it's still dark outside. And then the monks would just go from house to house and just stand outside. Maybe near the door or entrance so that people can see a monk is there. So one time also the monk went down the road, he stood in front of a house. And then the lady inside didn't know a monk is coming. And as she looks out the window, wow, she's so frightened. It's like a ghost standing. She didn't expect. Suddenly she sees a figure out there in the darkness, just a silhouette. She was frightened. Again, they reported this to the Buddha, and the Buddha said, okay, enough. Some are falling over the tree roots, and the others are frightening others. I said, okay, he lays down the rule, only from morning time until midday. You can collect food, you can eat 3 times if you want, 4 times in that time period. And in this way also, as you said, that will also be healthy, and the monastics can maintain the good energy and not overindulge, not overeat, because many hours afterwards the body will be light and easy to meditate. So for that reason the Buddha recommended that one time period only for eating. How many of you have tried eating only 1 meal a day? Did you try it before?
Only on full moon.
Sometimes on meditation retreats, full moon days. Is it easy? Difficult? Actually not so bad, right?
It's easy,
Yeah.
Only twice a week.
1 meal a day actually not so difficult. At first we think, oh, it must be very hard. But actually, as long as you have something to do and you don't sit down and think the whole day about eating, it's okay. I still remember back in the days when I was a student, at that time I had a small apartment in the city where I studied in Graz. And so sometimes also, you go buy your groceries, put them in the fridge, and then after a couple of days, the stores are running low. But then also sometimes I don't want to go shopping now, and and then as time goes by, I feel a bit hungry, but then I already know there's nothing there. Actually, it's okay. Maybe next day I go shopping. But other days, when I know the fridge is full with nice things, boy, I'm hungry every 2 hours. Every 2 hours, I really need to eat something. But if I know nothing, especially in the fridge, no, just bread and some simple things, bread and noodles, oh, no, I'm not so hungry. Oh, that's why sometimes we call it not hungry, it's called hungreedy. It's a combination of hunger and greed. So actually, if you have nothing around, it's quite easy. That's why also in our monasteries, we don't have, even if we wanted to eat something, there would be nothing around. So there's no choice to go to a fridge and take something out. So it's quite easy actually. There's nothing here, you know tomorrow and the next day you get your food again, and so it's not that hard.
Can you just correct a bit, just now what I said, twice a month only, but actually we suffer a lot also as a human being. So living the worldly life, we have no choice but to follow everyone's, when we are with people, with family, it's very hard to practice 1 meal a day.
Yeah. Because of the social circumstances, yes.
Yeah, we need to make a living. Actually, we will prefer a more peaceful life.
So you're saying that because of family, you cannot just decide on your own, okay, from now on we eat only once a day. Your family will not love you anymore. And then also, of course, you could say, well, it's okay, you can eat 3 times a day, 4 times a day, but you eat only once. But then, of course, often during those meal times, lunch times, dinner is also where the family comes together, isn't it? And that's the occasion where we have a bit of time to speak with each other. So of course you could also just sit down with the rest of the family while everyone is eating and you're just sitting there on the table watching them. But that's also going to be not so easy. Then you have to be really strong. That's what I meant earlier. If you don't see any food around, no, you're not around people who are eating, yeah, it's kind of not so hard. But if you're surrounded by people and you have to sit on the same table while they are munching away, so yeah, that would be difficult. So yeah, but on special days, like Uposatha days, full moon day, new moon day, oh yeah, you might even encourage a family or some friends, okay, let's do this together. And then you have the group support. Otherwise the group is an obstacle during the week, but on the weekend, on the special occasions, okay, let's do this together. And then also that makes it much more enjoyable. And afterwards you feel a little bit of reward. Ah, yeah, I can do that. I've been able to refrain from eating in the afternoon, at night. Quite nice. And the body feels light, isn't it? So again, that's all part of the gradual training. And it's gradual, not necessarily from one day to another. So many of those practices, you have to take them and try to see how can you do that. So it's understood. These are not commandments, it's no God or no deity saying you must do this, thou shalt not do that. These are voluntary practices. And then you try them out. Are they supporting me? Are they making it easier for me to abstain from greed, from jealousy, from anger? Depends on the practice. If yes, oh yeah, then I wish to undertake them. Or like that one from eating only once a day, invites simplicity. I quite enjoy actually after eating in SPS, having our lunch over, brushing my teeth, washing up, okay, finished for the rest of the day. I don't even have to brush the teeth a second time because I don't eat anything for the whole rest of the day. So you always, and also how much time do you usually spend washing dishes? Cooking cooking takes a lot of time already, isn't it? But it's not finished cooking and eating. Then you have a whole mountain of dishes. So again, we spend a lot of time just for that. That's why somebody once said to me, when you see a person on the road, and if you were to ask a person, just randomly, you can be pretty sure he either just goes to eat, or he just comes from eating. So it's one of these two options usually. Either he's just eaten and goes and leaves, or he's just going to eat. So you can try it out when you go to KL, when you go into the city next time, you can, excuse me, where are you going? I'm going to eat now. Where do you come from? I come from the restaurant. So you see how much time would I really want that to be the main thing of my life? How many hours a day am I going to spend just for that? Is there nothing of more value, that is deeper, more important? Maybe, maybe not. But for most of us, if you have family, children, Dhamma, there are so many more valuable things than just shoveling food into our body. Of course, we need to eat and we need to maintain the body. We need the body also to be healthy, that's important. But then also not to overconsume. I would say we keep it at that for today and continue our gradual training tomorrow. So today, only one meal a day, right? The meal is finished. It was a nice meal just now. And so tomorrow, 24 hours, we come together for our next meal.
Until we are forced to cook at home.
Oh, you're forced to cook at home. Okay, according to our abilities for the day. Keep it at that. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also share merit with our departed relatives and friends and all beings. Let us recite together. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang no nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Idang vo nyatinang hotu sukhita hontu nyatayo. Ettavata ca amhehi sampadang punya sampadang sabbi satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. And lastly, let us also make an aspiration so that all the good karma will also support us on the path to liberation, on the path to Nibbana. Please repeat after me. Idang me punyam asavakkaya vahang hotu. Idang me punyam nibbanassa paccayo hotu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. By the way, when we do the Idang Me Nyatinang Hotu, there are three versions. The first one, Idang Me Nyatinang, may this be for my relatives. Sharing the merit for my relatives, Idang Me. Then the second round, I usually do Idang No for our relatives. And the Idang Vo is the third one, for your relatives. So the first round is Idang Me Nyatinang Hotu Sukhita Hotu. Then the second one, Idang No, N-O, like no. For our relatives. And the third one, Idang Vo, B-O, for your relatives. So tomorrow, in future, if you remember, it can be quite nice if we can do it together. Me No Vo. Le No Vo, Me No Vo.